heart because it is blessed and accepted by the Supreme Lord Krishna. So every Saturday we come here to speak about Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, about Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So today I thought we will do a bit different. As we mentioned last time that this will be our last class um, in this journey, in this visit, however we call it. So I wanted to give a break to Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita and go into a topic that is most time discussed by most people in every part of the world, whether they're young, whether they're old, Indian, American, male, etc. It's a very, very popular topic. But before we go into that topic, we see Krishna in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He speaks about a certain principle which is associated with the topic that we want to discuss. So before we get started, let us chant this verse. This is chapter 15, text 8. If you cannot see the screen at the back, you can feel free to pull up your phone, not your WhatsApp. But feel free to pull up your phone. This is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 8. Please can you repeat? Shariram yatavapnoti Shariram yatavapnoti Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Vidvaitani samyati Vidvaitani samyati Vayurgandhan nivashayat Vayurgandhan nivashayat Shariram yatavapnoti Shariram yatavapnoti Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Vidvaitani samyati Vidvaitani samyati Vayurgandhan nivashayat Vayurgandhan nivashayat Shariram yatavapnoti Shariram yatavapnoti Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Vidvaitani samyati Vidvaitani samyati Vayurgandhan nivashayat Vayurgandhan nivashayat Shariram yatavapnoti Shariram yatavapnoti Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Vidvaitani samyati Vidvaitani samyati Vayurgandhan nivashayat Vayurgandhan nivashayat Shariram yatavapnoti Shariram yatavapnoti Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Vidvaitani samyati Vidvaitani samyati Vayurgandhan nivashayat Vayurgandhan nivashayat Anyone else want to read? Shariram yatavapnoti Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Vidvaitani samyati Vayurgandhan nivashayat Shariram yatavapnoti Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Vidvaitani samyati Vayurgandhan nivashayat Shariram yatavapnoti Yachapyam kramatishvaraha Vidvaitani samyati Vayurgandhan nivashayat. Translation: the living entity in the material world carries its different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits to take another. Can you read? The living entity in the material world carries its different conceptions of life from one body to you take answer. Pretty self-explanatory. Krishna is a beautiful example. Just like wherever we go, we see we have aroma, fragrance that we can smell because of our nose. We can smell the fragrance. But that fragrance, we all agree that that fragrance is carried by the wind. It's the wind that carries the fragrance. No one carries the fragrance on their shoulder or their hand. It's the wind that carries the fragrance. And that fragrance reaches from one person to another. But the wind carries it. Similarly, Krishna in this 15th chapter called as Purushottam Adhyaya. It is a chapter that describes about the opulence of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And it is a chapter that is normally discussed and spoken during Purushottam Mass. Krishna is called as Purushottam. Purusha means man. Uttam means first class. So the Supreme Lord is always first class. He doesn't settle for second. He doesn't settle for third. It's like almost, I say this, Krishna is like the Indian parent. The Indian parent, whenever a child comes home and says, I got 98 out of 100, तो मार्क किधर गए? गुप्ता जी को लड़का बोले तुमको क्यों नहीं मिला? I remember when I was young, my brother and I, we would get decent marks. My father, he would always say, okay, you got that, how much get the topper get? So I would say this. If he can get that one, why you can't get? What is this? What is his father giving him and I am not giving you? Mother is always smiling. Typical Indian parent. ऐसा क्या रखा है तो उसके पिताजी आपको ले आप So the Indian mindset is we don't settle for second. This is a very good mindset. We like competition and we want to be the top. So that quality is coming from Bhagavan because he also doesn't like to settle for second. Purusha Gupta, he is first class. Right? Even the verses that are used to glorify him, Krishna is one name called as please repeat Uttam Shloka. Uttam means Shloka means Uttam Shloka, that personality who is described and glorified the best among verses. So in verses also he wants to be first. As a person also he wants to be first. The Supreme Lord doesn't settle for second. That is why it's called as Purushottam. When he comes as Ramachandra Bhagavan, he is called Maryada Purushottam. Maryada means educate, discipline. He doesn't break Maryada. He has a family brother. Mother Sita gets kidnapped, he doesn't get married to someone else. He fights and fights Mother Sita. His father says, go to the forest, he accepts. Even though he had every reason to come back, because Dasharatha Maharaj departed the school and Bharat had come to the forest and asked him to come back to rule Ayodhya. But Maryada Purushottam Ramachandra said no. It is the instruction of our father, we have to accept. So Maryada. The Supreme Lord Krishna is called as Leela Purushottam, which means when he comes down as Krishna, his pastimes, his Leela are Purushottam, first class. Krishna's pastimes are such, they can be admired. Krishna's pastimes cannot be copied. Krishna's instructions need to be followed and Ramachandra's activities need to be followed. We cannot flip both. We cannot go outside and say, our mouth area will hang. That doesn't work. Bhagavan is Bhagavan. Krishna is Krishna. You cannot go over. I always see this, that especially in America, when the girls are 15, 16, 17, they have this Bharatanatyam, Arangeta, right? And the whole congregation is invited. There is a performance center, and there are hundreds of people in the audience, lights are dim, and the girls dance and everything like that. Excellent art. Right? But Krishna was 7 years old when Krishna danced. Now the interesting part is, in an alligator, when you dance, the floor doesn't move. When Krishna dances at 7, he goes one notch higher, Purushottam. I told you, he will not settle for normal floor. He wants a dancing floor, moving floor. And he picks Kalia as the dancing arena. Kalia is thinking, my goodness, 500 goods are given in the dancing arena and Krishna nicely dances. And Krishna autographs his lotus feet as imprints. Krishna autographs all the hoods of Kalia. And And because he had the autograph or the imprint of Kali of Krishna, Garuda forgave Kali. Because they heard the story, Garuda and Kali had some transcendental gifts and virtues. And Krishna blessed him. Comes as Krishna, but that same Lord becomes the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is Prema Purushottama. Because no one has this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There in Kali, and what a devotee should do, and how he should channel his life to Krishna. Devotee means theatre, cinema. You in that theatre, there are effects, lights are bring, and sometimes if the scene is very emotional, you start crying, and sometimes oriented, you feel as if you are the next hero. You get in the mood of worshiping the Dev. If there's some other scene, based on the scenes, you react. And that's why the movie is there to show emotions out of you. The moment you come out of the theatre, reality hits. You understand tomorrow I have a kind of stand-up meeting. All your movie is gone. Some do that. But we think we have forgotten. The mind doesn't forget. The mind is like a, you see, camera. When you click photographs, what happens? Let's say you click the photograph back in 2020 during COVID. You have forgotten. Has the phone forgotten? You have forgotten. You don't remember what you did in 2020. Your iPhone very nicely remembers that every day it will give you one drive. Memories for today. Right? Every day you get memories. Similarly, Krishna gives us understanding that we may watch and see and have different experiences. We think we have forgotten, but our consciousness is like a camera. It clicks. It's there in the subtle consciousness. And what's the proof? The proof is many times also happens that 10 to 15 years down the line, you see a billboard. That's it. You see a billboard. And that billboard reminds you of something that was there, let's say, 10 to 15 years in the past. Like I remember when I was small, in India you have different ads that come. You have daily soaps and you have different ads that will come. And there's so many ads that now we have forgotten, but I'm pretty sure those who have been in India will remember. There was this ad that would come about soap. Washing powder, we don't forget. Remember, for those who are grown up in India, it became so popular. Similarly, we would have this fair and lovely ads. My goodness, they would get someone and it would be as a Shahrukh Khan or whatever, and you would put fair and lovely, and then you would become very, very fair. And then people would buy fair and lovely thinking they're going to become next Shahrukh Khan. It became such a big deal. Now, those ads are gone. We don't find them right now. But the moment I said it, it clicked. Everybody would remember, maybe not the youth, but those who live in India, all of us would remember how we think we forgot that it is there in our mind. We don't forget. So Krishna says, these are the conceptions that we carry in our life. Different interactions, different encounters, different books you read, different web series, movies, you name. Everything is there in our mind. And these experiences are such that we carry from one life to another. शरीर छूट जाता है, परिवार संबंध छूट जाता है, घर बार छूट जाता है, गाड़ी छूट जाता है. This is there. From one life to another life, these conceptions are being taken. It's a subtle body, a subtle body. The next life we may have some other body, some other country. The pravritti is don't go. This is what Krishna says. Just like the air carries the aroma. Similarly, the living entity carries the consciousness from one body to another body to another body to another body. And this is why you see sometimes you see there's this normal a festival or ritual. You say when a child is small, they keep different things in front of the child, like a book, maybe a scissor, money, different things, right? And the child is expected to crawl, and whatever he picks, एक अनुमान लगाया जाता है कि बच्चा बड़ा होकर क्या बनेगा? If he picks up money, maybe businessman, right? If he picks up a Bhagavad Gita, maybe a sadhu. If he picks up a knife, hopefully a surgeon. Hopefully a surgeon. Chef. But you know what I want to do. We hope that person doesn't become a chef, or he becomes a chef, or he becomes a surgeon, but he doesn't become a whatever. You understand? Whatever. Where are these conceptions coming? It is coming from the past. Everybody doesn't become a thief. Everybody sitting here doesn't become a murderer. Some people do. Different properties are coming from different lifetimes by association of different personalities. This is what Krishna said, Vayu and Vayu. It's like wind carries aromas, the living entity carries different conceptions from one body to another body to another. So Krishna is talking about transmigration. You see it, one person is there, probably he doesn't exercise. So Krishna is talking about transmigration. Krishna says the process of transmigration is the living entity acquires material mind and carries different conceptions of life from one body to the next. The analogy is just like the air carries flow. Srila Prabhupada gave this verse. We'll read the translation because we don't know it. But Srila Prabhupada explains, you can see here, the present body and the activities. So whatever, as we have heard, whatever we do in this lifetime, it sows the seed for what is going to come next. If he has a consciousness like that of a dog, Krishna very beautifully explained that person will surely get a dog body. Why? Because if after getting human birth, the person is constantly thinking about DOG, instead of GOD. Krishna will say, okay, I respect your choice. I will give you a body where you can become a devotee. So Krishna is not chastising. भगवान दंड नहीं दे रहे. भगवान बोल रहे यदि आप कुत्ता इतना प्रिय है, बिल्ली इतनी प्रिय है, ठीक है, मैं मनुष्य का शरीर किसी और को दे देता हूँ, आप कुत्ता बन जाइए. So the Supreme Lord is not punishing. He is just accepting the desire that you have. The conception that you have, the desire that you have, the Supreme Lord just accepts. Similarly, if someone develops godly qualities, the person is promoted to the upper planets, and the person is Krishna conscious. The person gets a spiritual body and will go to Krishna lok or Golok, the place where Bhagavan is Krishna. Based on the person who you be thinking about, if you are constantly thinking about a dog, Krishna in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says, Yam yam bhavi smaran bhavam kidityante kalevaram tamta evai kaute sada bhav bhavita. Krishna says, hey Arjun, very simple. Krishna says, my dear Arjun, the philosophy and the principle is, whatever you remember at the time of death, Krishna says, you will get that body without fail. This is Krishna's law. Krishna says, whatever you think at the time of departure, you will get that. For many times people say that, oh, if while departing, यदि मरते समय भगवान का स्मरण करना है तो तभी स्मरण कर लेगा, बचपन से भक्ति क्यों करना है? Why do भक्ति from childhood? भक्ति तो मजा करने के लिए है. Let's have fun in youth. Let's have fun in our middle age. जब बूढ़ा हो जाएंगे कुछ करने की नहीं है तब भक्ति करेंगे. There are few flaws in this understanding. The first flaw is Is there anyone who can put their hand up and say with full confidence when they are going to die? Anyone? Any question, Maharaj? No one knows it. बाहर निकल कर क्या होगा पता नहीं, अगले अगले क्षण अगला मिनट क्या होगा किसी को नहीं पता, right? No one knows. So the understanding that when I will become old, then I will perform Bhakti Vedanta. You don't even know when you are going to become old. Right? There's so many examples. You pick up the newspaper, you pick up your phone, you find so many young people depart early. Right? The second flaw in that understanding is, if there is an orange, when you squeeze the orange, what comes out? Sure? Not mango juice? No, mango juice is the orange. You squeeze an orange? Why orange comes out? It's an orange. Which means you agree what is there inside will be what is outside when you squeeze. When you squeeze a mango, what comes out? No, orange. Mango juice comes out? Which means that we agree जो अंदर है वही बाहर निकलेगा when you are squeezed. Similarly, to remember Krishna at the time of death, there has to be Krishna inside you. If you have practiced Krishna consciousness all your life, when death squeezes you, Krishna will come out in form of remembrance, in the form of chanting. But if all your life you have meditated on things that are not connected to Krishna, it can be a cricket, Virat Kohli, or whatever, Ronaldo, FIFA, whatever it is. Whatever you meditate on, you all agree that that is what you will remember when you are in distress. How many of us genuinely call out to Krishna when you are in anxiety? Genuinely. How many Draupadi's here? How many Gajendras here? Very rare. Yes, there will be some. But most often when you and I are put in distress, what happens? You go to your spouse, you go to your child, you maybe go to your employer, maybe you go to whoever it is, right? How many leave everything and go to Krishna and marry Lord Prasad? Very rare. Which means again, when they are put in distress, when there is calamity in our life, most often we don't go to Krishna. So the follow-up point is death. King Kulashekara Alva, one very great devotee from the south, just like in Gaudi Sampradaya, we have Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, etc. In Maharashtra, we have Santa Tukaram, Santa Jnaneshwar, etc. Similarly, in the south, we have Alvas, very glorious personalities. Kulashekara, King Kulashekara was one Alva, very glorious personality. Kulashekara Alva says, Krishna Tvariya Padapam Garavanjarantam Adhyaiva me Vishatumana Sarajamsa Prana Prayana Samai Kapavata Pittai Anthavamodhanamito Smaranam Kudaste. Kulashekara Alva says, he writes what happened to the person departs. Krishna Tvariya Padapam Garavanjarantam Adhyaiva me Vishatumana Sarajamsa Prana Prayana, जब प्राण निकल रहा है, जब प्राण छूट रहा है शरीर से, प्राण प्रयाण समय, उस समय कफ वात पित्त, कफ वात and pitta, mucus, bile and air, they choke your throat. That's why you see most often, if you've seen a departing person, not staring there, if you've seen a departing person, how many times do you see that person is conscious, able to speak and express his thoughts? Very rare. Very, very rare. Kulashekara Alva says, Prana Prayana Samai Kapavata Pittai Kantha Avadhana Vido Smaranam Kutasya Bhagavan आपका कैसे स्मरण करता हूँ मैं? The time when my throat gets choked, mucus, bile and air, when I can't even remember who I am, I can't recognize any of my family members. When the eyes start to roll, the senses are shutting down. My dear Lord, Smaranam Kutasya आपका स्मरण किस प्रकार करता हूँ मैं? Very difficult to remember Krishna kind of departure. Which means the point is, you can remember something at a time of calamity and anxiety if you have practiced all your life. How does a Virat Kohli remember Virat Kohli? By practice. You agree he does net practice, that's why he can go to a cricket stadium and bat sixes. How does a Roger Federer remember Roger Federer? Because he has some practice. And that's why he goes to a court and starts winning runs. How does they do some practice. That is why when the real stadiums are there, when people are watching, they can perform when others cannot. Why? What separates them? It is the practice without starting. Similar. These are the good qualities that find you. They are able to remember and perform things at the stage where the highest anxiety, billions of people watching. Similarly, for the person to remember Krishna, to remember God, one has to practice all these things. So when people say, oh, when I become old, I will do. When? You don't know whether you become old. Second, even if you become old, if the senses are not working properly, how will we perform? For to perform the eye should be working, ear should be working, hands, legs, senses should be working. Now that our senses are working fine, now that we are hale and hearty, now that we don't have problems, now we should not be there. Everything else can be delayed, not Krishna consciousness. In our life, we see we prioritize everything. We prioritize family, we prioritize our job, we prioritize our vacations, we prioritize our car, our house, everything. But when it comes to bhakti, we keep it later. But Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that the purpose of human existence, the purpose of human life is to perform Krishna. And in Kali Yuga, Krishna consciousness means chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. So at this point, Krishna is explaining how the person goes from one body to another. And we have seen that there is one very famous saying that all of India says, especially when you ask them, do you know Bhagavad Gita, people will say yes. Bhagavad Gita में क्या पता है? They will say one statement. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते, which means कर्म करके जाओ फल की चिंता मत करो. Very famous. You have heard it many times. Now we have all heard and we all know this fact that it is our activities or our karma that decides our next work. Right? It's an important element. Like we say, based on the seed that you sow, you get a similar fruit. If you sow an orange seed, you are going to get a guava tree, correct? Which tree you get? Guava tree. Sure? If you sow an apple seed, you are going to get an orange tree. Which tree? Which means what is the understanding? We all know this. The seed that you sow, फल उसी प्रकार प्राप्त होते हैं. The same thing is applicable in our people. In the next 30 minutes that we have, I want to touch upon a point that is very often spoken about, this karma, how this karma works, what are the different forms of karma, and so on and so on. Make sense? Are we ready? No? When there is a longing or a desire to complete something, there is some incompleteness, and to make it complete, you do some activity. Right? Karma is the striving of an incomplete being towards its fulfillment. Why do you do any activity? Because there is some incompleteness. Right? Any activity that you do. Why do you get up from here to go to the prasadam hall? To honor prasadam. There is some incompleteness. Stomach is incomplete. The stomach is saying, बहुत कथा सुनिए थोड़ा प्रसाद खा ले. So you get up and you go. Which means In layman's language, karma is the cause is अपूर्णता से मुझे पूरा आपको चेष्टा कर रही थी. When there is incompleteness, whatever you do to complete it is karma, right? So, Jiva Goswami is asking the question, why does the Jiva act? Which means, why does the living entity act? There is a sense of incompleteness. अपूर्णता, जीवन अपूर्णता है, उसे पूर्ण करने के लिए हम कार्य करते हैं. Correct? Now, what does that effect? Baladev Vidyabhushan in his Gita Bhushan, which is commentary on the Gita that Prabhupada wrote, he writes, please repeat, Pum Prayatna, Nispadhyam, Adrishtari, Shabda Vachyam Karma. He says, karma is that produced by human effort, denoted by terms like Adrishta, the unseen potency. Right? Karma is human effort. All of us are humans. Right? Whatever activity we are doing is human effort. Right? What is Jiva Goswami saying? Jiva Goswami says karma is when there is incompleteness, whatever activity you are doing to complete it. That is karma, that is the cause. The effect is Pum Prayatna Spadhyam Adrishtari Shabda Vachyam Karma. He says karma is that produced by human effort, denoted by terms like Adrishta, unseen potency, which means when you do activities, most often we don't see the results right away. Right? Most often when you do activities, you don't see the results right away. So what are the results? They are adrishta. Drishta means to see. Adrishta means that which you cannot see, but पता है एक समय पे फिर से आने वाला है. Adrishta. I'll give you an example. You had in the Mahabharata we find we have the father of the Kauravas. Who is the father of the Kauravas? Dhritarashtra. Now Dhritarashtra was born blind. Right? Dhritarashtra was born blind. The Shastra explains Dhritarashtra was born blind because 100 lifetimes in the past Dhritarashtra had a habit. What was the habit? When ants would crawl on the floor, Dhritarashtra would take a blade of grass and poke their eye. And he would get sadistic pleasure out of it. Maja. You've seen people in this world also, mosquitoes would be there for no reason. The mosquito may not be in and around you, but people get sadistic pleasure. I have seen in India you have those nets, mosquito that electric, what do you call it? Racket. They think they are the next other better. Right? It's an electric thing, and people go around killing mosquitoes, and they were basically nothing to be harming you or anything somewhere else. Now, do we see the reaction right away? Does the mosquito bring this father and say, "Iska badla lo, isko maar do"? But the mosquito says no. Do you see the reaction right away? No. So it's adrishta. But you know at some point it's going to come back because you have killed something. Krishna doesn't forgive. Just because the mosquito is small doesn't mean we have a license to kill the mosquito. Just because the cockroach cannot say anything doesn't mean we will stand for the cockroach. It will come back. So there, the effect is adrishta. You don't see it right away. It will come back. Just like Dhritarashtra. 100 lifetimes in the past, he would poke the eye of the ant. Maja. After 100 lifetimes, he got a cardiac reaction for that. The effect. He couldn't see it. But after 100 lifetimes, he realized it. So when he did the activity, what was the result? What was the fruit? Adrishta. He could not see. So Jiva Goswami and Baladev Vidyabhushan describe the cause and effect. Jiva Goswami says, what is the cause? Karma is describing an incomplete being to fulfill. Whenever we feel incomplete, whatever activity we do to complete it is the cause. And the effect is karma that is produced by human effort. We are all humans. It's a human effort denoted by terms with adrishta. So we see that Shastra is explaining the root cause of the bondage. Because in this verse we see what is Krishna saying? The person carries conceptions and goes from one body to another body just like the wind carries the aroma. So Krishna explains the root cause of all that is ahankara or false ego. Identifying with the body. Right? What is this? iPhone. When we have something You have iPad, you have iPhone. In the earlier days, we had iPod and iPad. All of them you pay. People know what an iPhone is. People know what an iPad is. People know what an iPod is. When you ask the person, who are you? They will be clueless. People identify themselves as their designation. I am the CEO of the company. I am the principal of a school. I own this car. I own that, etc. But we all understand that these designations are not permanent. Someone may be a CEO for a certain amount of years, but after the company collapses or dissolves, what then becomes our identification? Is our identification only that we are a husband or we are a mother? What happens when that identification breaks? What happens when one of the persons of the family with whom we identified is no longer existent? Identity means something that is permanent. It was, is, and will always be permanent. Identity cannot change. Houses can change, cars can change. Identity should identity permanent. And it is permanent. Krishna Gita explains the real identity of every living entity is Jivaya Swarupa Krishna. The real identity of every living person is eternally to be situated as a loving servant of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. That's the eternal identity. But what happens when we come to this world, we get clouded by the different conceptions that we have carried from lifetime. And now we start identifying as the body. We start identifying as the body. Let's do a small exercise. Please take your index finger. Almost I feel I am in school. I am the teacher and all students. Okay, take your index finger. Point towards your nose. Everyone got it? Point towards your eyes. Nice, everyone got it. Great. Point towards your ears. One. Everyone got it. Very good. Point towards your head. Everyone got it. Amazing. Point towards yourself. Let's do it one way. Point towards your nose. Okay. Point towards your eyes. Okay, very nice, very good. Point towards your ears. Okay. Point towards your head. You're not pointing, okay. Point towards your head. Okay. Point towards your body. There is some confusion. Nose, eyes, ears, everyone got 100. Now there is some confusion. Okay, point towards your body. Some are doing here, some are doing here, some are doing here. Okay. Now point towards yourself. You understand there is something off here? When we say eyes, when we say eyes, when we say nose and we say ears, no one has any confusion, we all got it bang on. The moment we said body, we did it. When I say point towards yourself, we are going to do this. So my follow-up question is, are you the body? Are you the body? How many things are there? You can be honest. How many things you are doing? कितने को ऐसा लगता है कि हम शरीर हैं? Before Krishna consciousness, that was understanding. After Krishna consciousness, that started. When we say point to the body, we relate. When I say point to yourself, we should do this way, right? Okay. But are we the body? We are not the body. So then why are you pointing this? You have said, okay, let's go into more detail. Why are we not the body? We are not the body for the fact that if you are the body, when the person departs, the person is still there, the body is still there. But what did you say? Till the time the person was alive, he said, Mr. X. Mr. X was alive. I will not take any names. I remember I was in one publication, I was giving this example. And I took the name. Interestingly, वो नाम तो व्यक्ति और इसको बैठा था I said one of the I said imagine so and so person has just departed and the audience started laughing. Then I realized my नाम तो व्यक्ति बैठा है, so I just give them distracts. Imagine when distracts has departed. The moment the person departs, what do you say? Body. Immediately it changes body. Immediately the body को यहाँ पे body का डिस्कस करना, body को ये, body को ये. Immediately changes. But if you are the body is still there. The eye is still there, the nose is still there, the ear is still there, the head is there, the hair debatable, may or may not. But other things are still there. Which means we agree to the fact that if we think we are the body, then the person when the person departs, the body is still there. But that body is not. What do you say? Mr. X passed away. Who passed away? The body was still there. Which means there is someone beyond the body who was passed away. That is our identity. That is the soul. That is life. This is Krishna's Bhagavad Gita teaching 101. Krishna starts with very basic understanding that, my dear brothers and sisters, you are not the body. You are a spirit soul who is there in the material world. A green kurta. Am I a green kurta? I am not a green kurta. Right? Tomorrow I can wear a red kurta. Would I become a red kurta? We all agree to the fact that kurta can change. I am the person inside. Similarly, the body that is there is our clothing. Krishna explains in the second chapter. Right? The body is the clothing. We are the person inside. But till the time we identify ourselves as the body, fundamental identity crisis is there. For example, in school, when you have a math problem, right? Imagine you have a problem to solve. And the first line itself, you take an assumption that is wrong. After that, you solve the whole math problem. Do you get the answer right? No. Why? Because in the start, you made a mistake. The fundamentals were wrong. Similarly, whatever happens after is secondary. When there is an identity crisis of identifying with the body and not realizing that we are a spiritual, the problem arises. Krishna speaks the Bhagavad Gita to dispel that understanding, to dispel that happening in the way. You are not the body. You are a spirit soul that literally belongs to me, Krishna. Not me, but Krishna. So the reason for bondage first is identifying as the body. Now because we identify as the body, there is incompleteness. Because we identify as the body, there is a desire of incompleteness, which we want to complete, which we do actions to complete. Because there is incompleteness, we do cheshta. In Hindi we say that cheshta karma, which means you strive to complete it. And because you strive to complete the incompleteness, you get a result out of it. But that result is adrisha. Sometimes we see, a lot of times we don't see what the result is, what the fruit is. In adrisha, we will come in the picture. Right? So Krishna explains the reason of bondage is ahankara, identified as the body. Because when identified as the body, there is incompleteness. To complete that incompleteness, we do cheshta, we do activity, we strive, and because we strive, we get a result. That result can be made or it can be accomplished in the future, which is makes sense. Now we go forward. Shastra explains there are three types of karma. There are three types of karma. Up until this time we got karma. Now Shastra goes deeper. Three prakar ki karma, and this will answer many of the questions we have. There is a famous question that keeps coming up again and again. Why do bad things happen to people? अरे वो व्यक्ति इतना अच्छा था, किसी ने कुछ गलत किया उसके साथ भी, और बुरा है उसके साथ अच्छा भी होता है. So many examples we see around, right, of this pattern. For that, first of all, we have to understand how karma works and what are the three types of karma. Please repeat. The first form of karma is sanchit karma. Sanchit karma essentially is whatever activities. Please hear this carefully. Sanchit karma is whatever activities you have done in so many past lifetimes. Those activities are there in the form of seed. Beach ke taur par hai. They are there in a seed form. right? Of the millions and billions of lifetimes you have taken, in every life you have done different activities that should yield a karmic reaction. Those activities are like seed, and that seed, मान लीजिए बड़ा go down, there is a big storehouse. Those seed of your activities of so many past lifetimes are stored there, right? They are all stored there of your different past lives. That is sanchit karma. Now, there is second. Second is called as prarabdha karma. Please repeat. Prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma essentially is when you take a birth in this lifetime. Prarabdha karma essentially is in this lifetime, whenever you take birth, from the sanchit karma that is there, between whatever is there in seed format, a little of punya and little of पाप is taken from that seed. पिछले जन्म में कई सारे पिछले जन्मों में we have done many good activities, we have done many bad activities. Correct? We already we have not just done good, we have done bad also. That good and bad which is there in seed format, it is sanchit karma. When you take birth in this world, a little of good and little of bad is taken together, and that becomes your prarabdha. What is prarabdha? जो इस जन्म में भुगतते हैं. In this life, whatever we face, it is not necessarily coming from this lifetime. What is our understanding? अरे व्यक्ति इतना अच्छा है, उसके साथ क्यों हुआ? अच्छा इस जन्म में था, but जब वो पैदा हुआ, karma was already decided. From the time of conception, from the time he comes out to this world crying, his prarabdha was decided. What good he is going to get, what bad he is going to get was everything decided. Why? Because prarabdha karma is that. From the sanchit, थोड़ा पुण्य, थोड़ा पाप लेकर your life gets decided. That is prarabdha. So the first understanding is when people say, oh, व्यक्ति तो बहुत अच्छा था, हाँ व्यक्ति अच्छा था, इस जन्म में अच्छा था, पिछले 100,000 जन्म में क्या किया नहीं पता. So that is second. What was the first one? Sanchit karma. Second, prarabdha. Third is called kriyamana karma. Kriyamana means observe karma. Now that you are doing. Now that you are doing, do you do good? Yes. Do you also do bad? You all do right. We do good, we do bad. If you are not doing any bad, then this is your last life. But if you are doing bad, that is kriyamana. We do good activities, we do bad. Bad necessarily doesn't mean breaking regulatory principles. There are different degrees of that, right? Like for example, if you owe someone money and you are not giving, that makes record. That is kriyamana. अब होता ही क्यों है ना? All three are connected. What happens? In this life, very serious. In this life, whatever you are doing is kriyamana, good and bad, right? Now this good and bad you will not get reaction immediately. Just like Dhritarashtra did not get this reaction immediately. He poked the eye, that was kriyamana karma. Okay? That was kriyamana karma. But what happens? This kriyamana karma, whatever you do now, that becomes sanchit karma. अब ये घोड़ा में स्टोर हो जाता है. अब जो कार्य करेंगे अब नहीं मिलेगा. Why? Because the प्रारब्ध ऑलरेडी डिसाइडेड. इस जन्म में जो भुगतना है ये डिसाइड हो चुका है. अब जो कार्य करेंगे ये घोड़ा में करा जाएगा. अब कहीं जन्मों के बाद ये आएगा. अब मान लीजिए कि इस जन्म में if you had to give someone $10,000 and you knew and you still did not give, this becomes your kriyamana bad karma. Okay, kriyamana. Now this will go in your sanchit karma. अब कहीं जन्मों के बाद कहीं भी lifetimes that will come back as prarabdha, and in one lifetime you will face where even though you will be good in that lifetime, you will be cheated of the exact $10,000. Krishna, my dear devotees, doesn't make us clear. Krishna doesn't make us clear. You and I forget. Krishna doesn't make us clear. Karma is very clear the way it works. So, what you are doing right now is kriyamana. This kriyamana, good or bad, will become your sanchit. That from that sanchit, good and bad in one lifetime. Thoda liya jayega, thoda good, thoda bad. They will come together. That will become your prarabdha. Sanchit karma. The beginningless storehouse of unmanifested reality. इसका फल अब तक मिला नहीं है, कार्य किया है, फल अब तक मिला नहीं। So lot of seeds are good and bad. There is prarabdha, the activated seeds, which determines your current life conditions like jati, your birth, your ayu, lifespan, and your bhoga, pain pleasures. Right? Why is it that Anand Ambani is born as Mukesh Ambani's son? Why is it that we were not born as Mukesh Ambani's son and only Anand Ambani was born? Why is it that we are born in Linwood or Hyderabad or whatever, and he is a multi-billionaire? It's not accident. It's not accident. It's not coincidence. Krishna doesn't go H1B lottery. कि चलो इसका नाम आगे इसको दे देते हैं. It's not random. Sanchit karma is a pathway. Prarabdha is now. And these three things you see. We don't have control over these things. Did anyone have control over the jati, birth? हमें यही मम्मी पापा चाहिए. Is there anyone who said, my dear Lord, I will not take birth if I don't get this mummy papa? Anyone? Did we even have a choice of selecting where you want to be born? Could anyone select कि नहीं अभी पिछले जन्म ऑस्ट्रेलिया में जन्म लिया और लिस्बन में जन्म लिया? There is no choice of jati birth. It is predetermined. Second, lifespan. Anyone has any control over lifespan? When you are going to die, anyone has any control? Third, pain and pleasure. Sukh or dukh. Do we have any control over our hand? Overnight things change. Overnight we get happiness. Overnight we get distress. And so many times we have seen things unexpectedly happen. This is prarabdha. These three dear devotees are decided, and there is nothing much we can do about it. Is there anyone who can change their jati? Is there anyone who can change their ayu? Is there anyone who can change their bhoga, pain and pleasure? Kriyamana is your fresh karma. So if you see a farmer, he is sowing seeds, he has all seeds, he is taking a few seeds that he is sowing, and both sowing it will become your crops. So Sanchit, Prarabdha, Kriyamana. Any doubts here? Clear? What is the three karmas? Now this answers the question of why you bad things happen to you. Good people or good person, sure enough, is in this world. But we don't know what is Sanchit karma is. 100 lifetimes in the past. अपना ही नहीं पता उसका क्या पता. So this is good and little bad mistake, and then that we go to Prarabdha, which means is Sanchit in our hand? No. क्योंकि पहले का हो गया. Now we can change. Is Prarabdha in our hand? Is Kriyamana in our hand? This is in our hand. पहला तो छोड़ दीजिए, हमारे हाथ में नहीं, कुछ नहीं कर सकते. तो पहला क्या? We can't do anything about it. What you are doing now? This you have control. Kriyamana. Now if we have control over this, we should make sure that we are following the right switch. Okay, sowing the right. This is English. Instead of sowing, let us going. Beat bola bolte hain. This is English. What we are doing with this we have control, right? अब ये सही करें. If we do this right, that is going to become our Sanchit, and that will become Prarabdha. So now what we are doing is we have control. So Sanchit karma, millions of seeds from every action across lifetimes, life, government. Experience alone cannot empty this warehouse, as we constantly plan to. अर्थात केवल भूगलने से कम नहीं होगा. There is a big storehouse, right? Even if we experience the coming reaction, we are still giving more to that storehouse. We are still doing more Kriyamana. We are giving more to the storehouse. So this experience will not destroy that warehouse or storehouse or godown or whatever it is. Krishna explains the Gita, Jnana Rani Sarva Karmani Bhasmat Kurte Pratha. As fire turns wood to ashes, The fire of knowledge burns all karmic reactions to ashes. अपने बलबूते को नहीं होगा. When we understand this, we understand as to how dependent we are on the mercy of Krishna. Because there is nothing in our hand, there is nothing much. If someone is not dependent on the mercy of Krishna, and the Kriyamana is also bad, there is practically no way the person can exit the knowledge with the other. Because संचित will come back, प्रारब्ध भुगतना पड़ेगा, भक्ति नहीं कर रहा है, अगर आगे पूरा खुशी को हो, the cycle will continue. The cycle will continue. So संचित कर्म is our millions of seeds from every action, every single action that we do gets stored in the storehouse. Then it's prarabdha. Prarabdha karma means three things cannot be changed, as we said. Your jati, your birth of family, किस कुल में जन्म लेना है. Second, your lifespan, your आयु. Third, your भोग, your pleasure and pain. No one has control. Everything is decided. Everything is practically decided. बस भुगतना पड़ता है. Right? The example is given like that of a fan. You see, there is a fan. The fan may be moving very fast, but when you turn on the switch, what happens? Does the fan stop immediately? What happens? घूमते रहता है and slowly goes off. Similarly, Shastra gives the example. Switching off the fan, this action is a Kriyamana action. If someone is practicing Krishna consciousness, then that person is turning off all the past karmic relations. But still, just like the fan doesn't stop all by itself, immediately नहीं होगा, it moves. Similarly, even if the person is practicing Krishna consciousness and is placing the good seed of Kriyamana karma or the good seed of switching the fan, still, because the prarabdha is already decided, we see even devotees face problems there. Being a devotee doesn't mean you can get away from prarabdha. Even if someone becomes a devotee, prarabdha will still be there. Prarabdha will still be there. What is the example? The best example is Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of demons. His father was a demon. The whole Prakul, Asura Kakul, Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of demons. He was born in a family of demons. But, now remember this example, we will come to this example. But the point is, even Prahlad was born in a family of demons and he could not have any control over jati. Did he have any control over jati? No. He could not pay. So even Prahlad, who was a Mahajan, had to pay this prarabdha. The first was Sanchit, second was prarabdha. Third is Kriyamana, whatever we are doing now. Right? The only thing, as we said, that we have in our control is Kriyamana. When we speak harsh words out of anger, etc., in the future there is going to be communication of that. If we speak rudely, harshly to someone, that person may keep quiet. At some point, we will see some other person in some lifetime will speak rudely and harshly like that. And similarly, if there is chanting Vaishnava Seva, this deposits auspicious impressions, Shubh Samskara, which draws the soul closer to Krishna. So between the three forms of karma, there is only one that you and I have control over, that is Kriyamana. Okay, let's do a quick recap. What are the three types? Who can tell me what is Sanjay? Storehouse. Storehouse of all good qualities. Good and bad qualities. Okay. What is prarabdha? What we are born in this life. The पाप और पुण्य, जो संचित पाप और पुण्य लेकर जो तड़का मिलता है ना जीवन में, हिसाब, very good, हिसाब किताब, sometimes we need Hindi words to understand, हिसाब किताब, जो जीवन में बस चाटा लगता है कभी-कभी, that is prarabdha. Three things of prarabdha are decided. What are the three things? Jati means your bank balance. Sama Signet. Jati means birth. Second, Ayu means your lifespan. And third, Bhoga. Bhoga means prasadam. Bhoga means you bhoga offering. Good and bad experience. What is in our control? The other two are not in our control. But hold on. At the end, our definitions are going to be till now, what is in our control? Priyama. And Prarabdha cannot be changed. Correct? Remember this. Prarabdha cannot be changed. At the end will come. Okay. Now, how does these things work? You have karma, you do an action. It is deliberate action on the body, mind, or speech, etc. We gave an example of money, receiving a partner for profit. When we do an action, there is karma, which is a deposit. The invisible potency, that is adrisha, reinforces tendency and travels across both. Whatever we do now, दिखाई नहीं देता, फल दिखाई नहीं देता, but आएगा. At some point, it is going to come by because we can't see it now. It is adrisha. And third is karma vipak. What is it? Karma vipak, which means the fruit. Sometimes we get nice mango fruit in our life. Sometimes neem. कभी-कभी जीवन में बहुत मधुरता मिलती है. Things are all happening according to plan, and sometimes things don't happen according to plan. That is karma vipak. The ripened result delivered in future life. The action, the deposit, and now we see in the Gita, Krishna is saying in the 4th chapter, Gahana Karmano Mati. He says the path of karma is very difficult to understand. And we can see last 1 hour we have Krishna is saying in the 4th chapter, कर्म का जो मार्ग है जान पाना थोड़ा कठिन है. It is a little difficult. So we see we have karma, which is your prescribed action. For example, Kshatriya is defending the innocent. That is karma. That is the activity that is. विकर्म is जो करना नहीं चाहिए, जो गलत है. That is विकर्म. Feeling out of greed, anger, or whatever. This is just one example. Third, that Krishna talks about, that ideally we should be striving for is akarma. Why? Because when you do karma, you get result. Correct? You do vikarma, you still get result. अब रिजल्ट को भोगने के लिए भी मनुष्य जन्म प्राप्त करना पड़ेगा. अदरवाइज how will you get result? Right? Get my point? If you do karma, let's say good activity, okay? You do good philanthropy activity. बहुत दान पुण्य के लिए चैरिटी दिए गए. अब इसका फल प्राप्त करने के लिए मनुष्य जीवन को प्राप्त करना पड़ेगा ना. अदरवाइज how will you get the fruit? That's point number 1. Let's say you do bad to others. अब इसका फल प्राप्त करने के लिए मनुष्य जीवन प्राप्त करना पड़ेगा. Which means whether you do good or bad, you have to reap the benefit. To reap the benefit, you have to take another human birth. Krishna said our principle is pretty different. Our principle is we don't want to take a birth. Now you do good, you will take a birth. You do bad, you still take a birth. Punarabhi Jaranam, Punarabhi Maranam, it is still going to happen. Krishna in the 4th chapter of the Gita introduces the principle of order. Please repeat akarma. What is akarma? Akarma is devotional activity. Devotional activities are such, you reap the benefit, but to reap the benefit, you don't require a material body, you get spiritual, which means you break the cycle of birth and death and evolution. This is the devotional activity Prabhupada stresses so much in Bhagavad Gita. This devotional activity अच्छा करना चाहिए, वेरी गुड, बट उसे भोगने के लिए फिर से मनुष्य जीवन प्राप्त करना है. और यदि बुरा किए उसे भोगने के लिए फिर से मनुष्य जीवन प्राप्त करना है. Our principle is we don't want to take another material birth. We want to go back to God and stop the cycle of birth and death. No more ABCD, no more I, U, nothing. No more 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. We want to go back to Krishna. Going back to Krishna means we have to go beyond the karma and vikarma. We start doing akarma. Akarma is devotional activity, or what we call as seva. person breaks the cycle of birth. Make sense? Any questions here? Karma, vikarma, and our principle is akarma. This is Bhagavad Gita. The fourth chapter Krishna explains. Actions producing no karmic bondage. For example, Arjuna fighting Kurukshetra after full surrender. Arjuna had this question, right? That my dear Krishna, if I kill, I will become a reaction. And Krishna says, you are doing it under my sanction. I want you to do it. Even if you don't do it, Arjuna, they are already dead. Why? Because I have decided. I have decided. Similarly, our principle is we do action producing no karmic bondage. It is a karma. So now, I want to ask you a question. Where does akarma fit in the three types of karma? Where do you think it should ideally fit? Akarma means? Can you put akarma in sanchit? No, हो गया ना, हो गया. Can you put akarma in prarabdha जो भुगत रहे हैं? But can you do right now? Devotion activity you can do right now. You can pick up mala and chant. You can hear katha. This is kriyamana. This is akarma and this is kriyamana. Now this proof that you get of hearing this Krishna katha, of being in the association of devotees, this cannot be compared to getting a material body. For this, the resultant is getting a spiritual body where eternally you can hear about Krishna. This is Bhagavad Gita's principle. Not just doing good or bad. Yes, we have to do good. Yes, do good philosophy activities. But we should also go beyond just doing good of doing akarma. So akarma, when a living entity chooses to serve Krishna, it is called akarma or devotional service. This is Prabhupada's purpose, Bhagavad Gita, fourth chapter. Akarma frees one from the cycle of birth and death and awards him supreme destination. Where is this connected? This is connected to kriyamana, So now we were talking about karma. And what did we say? Sanchit is not in our hand. Prarabdha not in our hand. Kriyamana is in our hand. Prarabdha, three things are decided. What are the three things? Jati, Ayu and Bhoga. But what did we say? Prarabdha is bhugat nahi padega. There is nothing we can do about it. Right? This is where Bhagavan comes into it. There is someone who can control these things. You and I cannot. There is someone who can control. Krishna, if he does his karma, not anyone is great. Karma cannot be controlled. Krishna says, what I can control. Krishna says, I can control. Daivan is prayer. If I want, Krishna says, I can control. And Bhagavan can do it. If Bhagavan wants, he can change your jati, he can change your ayu, and he can change your kula, and he can change your bhoga. What is the example? Prahlad. Now, where was Prahlad born? In a family of demons. But Karmana Daiva Netrena. Krishna arranged such that Narad Muni walked into the life of Prahlad. Narad Muni did not walk into the life of Hiranyakashipu. Narad Muni came and spoke Krishna Katha to Prahlad in the womb of Prahlad, even though he was born in a family of demons. But Krishna tweaked the prarabdha. Krishna changed the prarabdha where even though he was born in a family of demons, Karmana Daiva Netrena, Krishna said, he will become a devotee. He is the supreme Lord of wants. Even the prarabdha can be changed. So इस जन्म में भुगतना है. भगवान यदि चाहे तो वो भी बदल सकते. इसीलिए this is what I can teach say. Whatever it is, go to Krishna. Pray to Krishna. Why? Because संसार में रोककर कुछ होने नहीं वाला. If you cry in front of people, you know, and then you go and have a Chinese whisper and tell them about you. They will not solve their problem. They may or may not. But if you pray to Krishna, Krishna can change. If you see, when Prahlad was there, he was sitting Every time Krishna protected. Which means if the Lord wants, even your prarabdha can be changed. Your prarabdha can be changed. But there is again a condition to that. The condition is most often prarabdha is not changed, even for devotees. Most often, whatever is destined to experience in this life will come in some shape or form. But for those who are very, very advanced, those who are very sold out to the Supreme Lord, for such exceptional cases, Krishna will speak. It's not a generic principle, but for very some special cases, Krishna will take the power. Karma operates in an automatic law of nature, but the Lord is above his own laws. Daiva supersedes karma entirely for devotees. What is karma? Our past action. Prahlad, born to Asura Gandhi, should not possess any pure devotion. Right? It's very logical. He is born in a demonic family. But Daiva, a Bhagavan intervenes, Supreme Lord intervenes, Nrsimhadev intervenes, and he arranged for Narad Muni to instruct his mother, and devotion entered the room, and Prahlad became a Mahasan. Prahlad became a Mahasan. So, Srila Sanatana Goswami says that this prarabdha is such. Our jati, our ayu and bhoga in most cases cannot be changed. But if the Krishna wants, यदि भगवान की इच्छा है, भगवान बदल सकते हैं. So Sanatana Goswami says, इच्छा वसात पाप उपसर्ग नाम क्षीयते, भोगोन्मुखम अप्यनुस्मात्, प्रारब्ध मात्रम भवति तरेशम कर्मा विशिष्टम तद अवश्य भोग्यम. By the Lord's will, even the sins of his devotees, even those already turned towards fruition. What is that? Prarabdha. What is prarabdha? From its sanchit, something is taken and up is fructified. And that's what you are facing in this lifetime. Sanatana Goswami says in Brahma Bhagavatam that when the Lord's will, Bhagavan की इच्छा यदि है, इच्छा वसा, look at the first word, इच्छा वसा, यदि भगवान की इच्छा है, पापम उपसर्ग नाम क्षीयते, even that पाप, that sinful reaction, जो भुगतना है, निश्चित हो गया है कि भुगतना पड़ेगा. इच्छा वसा, if the Lord wants, he can even destroy that person. For others, only prarabdha remains. And that was inevitably experienced. So which means for a devotee, the sanchit we don't have control. The kriyamana we have control. What we are doing now. Now if we do Krishna conscious activities with utmost sincerity, this will become our sanchit karma. Good activity. But where is it? We are doing akarma. And akarma means no material body. No sin. Correct. So which means what activities we are doing now will ideally not be reciprocated to a material body. It should be reciprocated to a spiritual body. Which means even after we become a devotee, prarabdha will be there, suffering will be there. We are not saying that after becoming a devotee, life will be ever happy. It's a suffering will be there. But if Krishna wants, Krishna Shastra explains through the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The kriyamana that you are doing, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra destroys the whole sanchit karma. मान लीजिए यदि कोई माला जप रहा है, it is equivalent to going to the sanchit karma, go down and आग लगा. जब पूरा घोड़ा आग लग जाता है, जब पूरा संचित भस्म हो गया, ना भगवान का नाम जप रहे हैं, अर्थात जो संचित कर्म है उसे भस्म कर देगा. When your sanchit is completely destroyed, what prarabdha will you have? Which means that will become your last life. If in this life you are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra sincerely, your sanchit is destroyed. Which means what is left? Only prarabdha is left. What is Sanatana Goswami saying in the last line? For others, only prarabdha remains. And that must inevitably experienced, which is you and I. In examples where people are like Prabhupada very exalted, Krishna will change the prarabdha also. This is why we see even after person has become devotees, challenges may be there, but it may be the last life of challenge. Why? Because your holy name has burnt the storehouse of Sanskrit. But for anyone else, it is Punarapijana. Their activities will become Sanchit, Sanchit become Prartha, then again there is Sanchit, and they take lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes. And it becomes an unending cycle. Which also means only if you do akarma, devotional service, can someone guarantee this being the last entity. Other devotional service, there is no other way, no other way, no other way of ending the living cycle of death, old age. This is our village. This is we join Krishna consciousness, we take join ISKCON for this. It's an internal shift. दो प्रकार के लोग हैं. हाथ में पुष्प है. There is a flower in the hand. One person is offering flower to Veera Mata thinking if I offer flower, अच्छा कर्म प्राप्त होगा. I will get good in the future. Right? Another is offering flower to the Lord thinking, my dear Lord, this is for you. I don't want anything in return. If someone offers flower, the hand one that is there, it is karma. Why? Because I am performing a ritual to gain merit. सुख शक्ति घर आ गया हो जाएगा जल्दी है. My dear Lord, I am offering flower. घर में सब अच्छा होना चाहिए, परिवार संतुष्ट होना चाहिए, गाड़ी बंगला बैग पैसा होना चाहिए. Good. But now to experience that we need a material world. So it is nine channel. And second is you are doing akarma, where you are doing service to the Supreme Lord. Where there is no material reaction, but the reaction is you will spiritual body to experience or to have the fruit of the devotion. These flowers belong to me anyway, and I am simply returning them. So there is no guardian. Krishna says this in the ninth chapter, right? Yet Prohoshi, Yadashnasi, Yet Johoshi, Lasi, Yet Tapasasi, Kahoshi, Kapurushi, Madhana. Whatever you are doing, whatever your actions are, hey Arjun, offer it as a service unto you. The goal of spiritual life is not simply to cultivate better karma. Golden chains bind just as tightly as iron. ये भी अच्छे कर्म करते थे. So that is their golden chains. They are still going to bind you to this world. And if you are anyway going to do bad, they are going to bind you. So our principle is, by moving from ahankar, false ego, to pure bhakti, we transcend spiritual signs of action entirely, awakening our eternal, unconditioned relationship with Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna.